This from the New York Post the other day. Thousands of illegal African immigrants overrun Spanish enclave, turn streets into open toilets, bathe in fountains. 60,000 illegals from Africa flooded the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. I'm not sure if I said that properly, but prompting Spain to deploy its military as terrified locals liken the invasion to an apocalypse. Ceuta is located on the North African coast. And I just want to say some of the reaction. I'm looking at headlines from the Brussels Signal, which is an English language center-right news source. Here's the reaction from the rest of Europe. Von der Leyen, the head of the EU, demands immediate halt to the crossings and swift returns. Sweden tells Spain to regain control of Ceuta and warns it is ready to act. France deploys rapid border force and tightens checks at Spanish border over Ceuta crossings. Netherlands tells Spain to protect EU external border after the crossings, etc., etc. So,
My
Victor,
gosh, they're border hawks. How illiberal.
yeah, I know, right? So your thoughts on this massive overnight invasion?
In 1973, member of the French Academy, Jean Raspel, wrote Camp of the Saints. Everybody said he was a racist because it was a fictional fantasy novel about an announcement that France was going to allow anybody to come in that wanted, and this whole army from impoverished Indian subcontinent lands, and then they take over, and then they start demanding of Frenchmen religious political concessions, and everybody said he was a racist. He may or may not have been. He wasn't a racist, I should say that. He was a Renaissance man, but an explorer, athlete, everything. He was a novelist, essayist. But it's like reality's imitating fiction. 60,000 people swarm this little enclave, this little colonial enclave in Morocco. And it was all preordained. As soon as you saw it, the first thing that I saw when you saw thousands of people pouring into a city, I think it's only about 70 or 80,000, where are they going to relieve themselves? Who's going to feed them? Where are they going to sleep tonight? Who's going to clothe them? Because some of them were just in cutoffs, bare, with no shoes on. Oh, those who say go back are cruel. And then you start to see what the socialist enterprise is. Why did Alejandro Mayorkas want 12,000 people coming from the poorest areas of the world here every day? The answer is they wanted to grow the progressive project. So they come in and then they say, you're heartless. You're heartless. All our ERs are overcrowded and you can't get good legal services, and there's a big line at the food stamp office. Yes, you caused that, and at the expense of U.S. citizens who were in need. So then they say, we need this, we need this, we need billions of dollars in Minneapolis, and L.A. needs billions of dollars to help. And of course, we know where that money goes. Most of it never goes to the people, but is siphoned off, as we see with these crooked communities, many of them immigrant communities. But then you get constituency. So the second part of the paradigm is, under the guise of COVID, we did one single day registration in many states. We said most states, I think there's only 20 of them that require an ID, and they're all red. No ID, register the same day and vote, ballot harvesting, ballot curing, early voting, and you can have votes come in up to a week, 10 days in some states, with a postmark if it's on election day. And even some, I think, they don't have to be postmarked on election day. Just within 10 days they have to arrive, or within a week. So that all that was geared to let people who are not legally qualified to vote. And that, coupled with demography, was the answer to the left-wing dilemma. The left-wing dilemma is socialism never works. It impoverishes everything it touches. Nobody wants open borders. Nobody wants the trans men in your teenage girl's locker room. Nobody wants to defund the police, the Pentagon. Nobody wants to get rid of the Senate. Nobody wants to pack the court. We all know that, so we import voters. And that's what we do, and that's what they've done. So 53% 53 million immigrants in the United States is a all-time high. So is 16%. So Donald Trump this has been another gift to him. If he can use it, he can just say, I kept telling you that when Joe Biden let destroyed our borders and we got 12 million people here, of which we're still paying for, and they affected everything from available housing to health care, you laughed at me. And it spread, didn't it? And so this is what people saw in America. They said, why not Spain? Why not Britain? Why not France? And if they don't get it under control,
Yeah.
and then the only difference is that when Donald Trump starts arresting people and deporting them, they're going to call him a fascist. In Europe, a few may, but they are very proprietary, and finally they've had it. And so they're not going to say a word when they round a lot of these people up and start deporting them. And before you say that Donald Trump is so cruel, he's deporting people on visas, well, they're going to deport people in Sweden who are citizens if they commit major crimes and send them
Yeah.
back to their country of origin.
I don't know what the oath of allegiance is in Sweden, but if you come somewhere and raise your hand or whatever you do to say I'm abiding by the rules here, I just feel that's contractual. If you break the contract, we'll send you back to whatever blank hole you came from.
Yeah, I think what we're watching is a counter-revolution. And I wrote that in the book that's coming out in September 8th. It's a counter-revolution, and its essence is we're going to be traditional and normal and follow the law. And what we've seen the last 40 years is the law is just a joke. It's fluid. It's all about compassion and empathy, fake empathy. And we let people go because of their color or their sexual orientation or their gender or their race. And everybody's going to say, that is racist. That is Neanderthal. We're going to go back to equality under the law.
Right. And truth. Justice doesn't matter. Truth doesn't matter. Because to the leftists, what matters is power, right? 2 plus 2 is 5. If the party says so, then it's 5, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you see Hassan Piker, whose parents are Turkish multimillionaire immigrants, and he was born in the United States, so he'd be a citizen. Then he was taken back to Turkey in his paradise, but apparently he didn't like paradise in Muslim Turkey, so he came over here. And now he's spouting off about Mao, and he has a celebratory picture of 9/11. And he just said the other day, I guess 2 days ago, I can guarantee you a Jew won't be nominated as our candidate. What if he said this? I can guarantee you that a Turk won't be nominated ever as the nomination of the Republican Party. Would that be racist? I think it would. How would he like that? He's really a demonic figure. He really is.
Yeah. Well, Victor, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to...
Although he has good taste in cars. I mean, if you have a $130,000 Porsche sports car and a $2.8 million home in West Hollywood, I guess you're doing pretty well as a capitalist.